Good afternoon. It is the season of thankfulness, and I wanted to express my gratitude and thanks for one thing in particular in this season, and that is that there is so much better food available than that which we are forced to eat on Thanksgiving. If you're American, you're probably wrapped up in a tradition of eating awful food at Thanksgiving time, and I'm also stuck in this tradition. I can't seem to get out of it. I envy other people in other countries so much on Thanksgiving Day who have full bellies and full hearts because they don't have to eat the disgusting crap that we put in front of ourselves on Thanksgiving Day. This shouldn't even be controversial. This isn't supposed to be a hot take. This isn't me trying to get YouTube views. This is real. This is factual. This is something that I hope to prove to you that you intuitively know. Thanksgiving food is awful. Let's start with the main dish, turkey. Turkey is the worst meat anybody has ever cooked. It is the driest, most bland, most disgusting piece of meat that you could possibly try to eat. It doesn't matter how much you season it. It doesn't matter how much you inject it. It doesn't matter how much you cook it the right way. It doesn't matter if you deep fry it, even though that is incredibly dangerous and leads to explosions like half the time. Turkey is disgusting. It doesn't matter if it's white meat or dark meat. It doesn't matter which part of the turkey you are trying your best to eat without throwing up. The turkey is disgusting. It is so dry that I'm actually surprised that turkey itself is not considered a desert by geologic standards. I'm actually impressed with the turkey as a creature because you would think that a living thing needs more moisture than that turkey has in it in order to function. I mean, that's incredible that a turkey can be that dry and still live somehow. And here's the deal. You intuitively know this. You intuitively know that turkey is disgusting. Let me prove it to you right now. You never go to the store and buy a whole turkey ever, except Thanksgiving Day. Why don't you do that? Why aren't you going to the store in February and picking up a whole turkey and cooking it up for the family? Why aren't you going to the store in June and saying, hey, you know what sounds great this week? Is cooking an entire turkey for our family. Why don't you do that? Well, I'm gonna tell you why. It's because it's gross, and you know it's gross. You eat it one time a year because you know, deep down, it's disgusting and it's not worth eating. You feel like you have to eat it one day a year. Well, let me proclaim some good news to you. You don't have to eat it. You can eat other foods on Thanksgiving. I would now like to take a second and list some things that I believe the worst of these things is better than the best turkey that I've ever had. First, pizza. The worst pizza I've ever had was in Miami, Florida. And I remember eating it and thinking, I was like 12 years old and I thought, this is gonna make me sick. And it gave me severe food poisoning. It tasted awful. I think the sauce was ketchup. I don't think it was cooked all the way through. It came out of like a microwave toaster oven kind of thing. It was disgusting. And you know what? It was 10 times better than the best turkey that I've ever had in my life. Tacos. Any taco in the world is better than the best turkey you've ever had in your life. Burgers. Any burger that you've had, even if you ordered it medium rare and it came way too well done, the worst burger you've ever had is significantly better than the best turkey you've ever had. And I actually prove that almost every Thanksgiving, because when I reach the end of Thanksgiving Day and my family has just put garbage in front of me and I don't feel like I can stomach any of this trash food, I generally Google what restaurants are open on Thanksgiving, and I find that most McDonald's locations are open, and I go to McDonald's and I get a quarter pounder with cheese, because I need to eat something so I don't go to bed hungry on Thanksgiving Day. I basically have no choice. I need to meet my caloric intake, and the only way I can do that on Thanksgiving Day is by going somewhere that has actually good food. My point is this: the main feature of a classic Thanksgiving meal is a turkey, which is the worst possible meat you could possibly cook for your family, and you intuitively know that because you never go buy a turkey except for Thanksgiving Day. Now, a less heinous main dish is ham, but it is still a heinous main dish. Ham is disgusting. Ham is gross. It's not as gross as turkey, I will give you that. It's not as dry as turkey. But do you know how a ham is made? Do you know what curing meats is? They take a piece of a pig and they inject it with like the craziest chemicals you've ever heard of. And then they smoke it and then they let it sit. And what should be just like a normal pork roast, what should just turn into phenomenal pulled pork, slow roasted pork, anything, gets ruined, gets cured, gets turned into this pink, almost inedible thing that we call ham. I can't tell you how much better Thanksgiving would be if they didn't cure the pork, if they just slow roasted a pork butt, if they just smoked a pork shoulder. The worst pulled pork I've ever had is significantly better than the best ham I've ever had, and I'm pretty sure it's actually the same part of the pig. This should not be so. And don't even get me started on honey baked ham, where you just add candy to the outside of ham, as if somehow adding candy to meat makes the meat taste better. I don't put Kit Kats on my burgers. So there you go. Thanksgiving main dishes, horribly overrated. Some of the worst foods I've had other places, including multiple times that I've had food poisoning, are significantly better and preferable to Thanksgiving main dishes of turkey and ham. And turkey and ham are what I would put into the category of Thanksgiving food that is too dry. It's just too dry. You have to chew way too much. There's a lot of saliva needed to break down the dryness of these ingredients. But now we shift our attention to the Thanksgiving sides, which as a whole are not too dry. They swing the pendulum the other way. They are far, far, far too wet. Thanksgiving sides are disgusting because they are basically pre-digested. Every single Thanksgiving side that I can think of is basically already chewed for you. You just have to put it in your mouth and swallow it. And Thanksgiving sides do this thing where they take something really good and they absolutely ruin it with fat and sugar. Like sweet potato casserole. You take a great thing, a sweet potato, and you put some olive oil on it. That's great, that's fine. Then you dump butter on it, you dump sugar on it, you dump all kinds of crap on it, you bake it, and it doesn't taste like sweet potatoes anymore. It tastes like candy. You've just decimated a sweet potato. Cranberry sauce? What is that? My family literally would buy a can of cranberry sauce, and it was like the most artificial thing you've ever seen. Pre-sliced, drop it out of a can onto a plate and it's ready to eat. That's insane. What are we doing? My family makes something called green rice, which I think is rice, and then you add a bunch of cheese, and I think you add a bunch of mold. And that is a Thanksgiving side at my house, and it smells awful. I mean, it smells like death. And it takes 6 days to make. All these sides take 12 days, 14 days to make. It's this insane process, and your house smells like death the entire time. Now, I do have to concede one point, and that is this. Mashed potatoes are elite. Mashed potatoes are incredible. It's basically the only thing that I can stomach when I go to Thanksgiving, and I will load up and probably eat 10, 12, 15 potatoes worth of mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are phenomenal food, and one of the reasons that you know this intuitively is you make mashed potatoes more than once a year. Basically, the litmus test for this whole thing is, do I make the food more than once a year? And if the answer is no, you need to ask yourself, do I actually like the food, or do I just like the tradition? And I would put forth, you just like the tradition. You actually don't like the food, and you know it deep down. Mashed potatoes are one of the few foods that I make several times a year because they're incredible. You know what I'm not making several times a year? Green rice, creamed corn, canned cranberry circular slices, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole. These are things you make one time. And anything that has cream of mushroom soup in it is an offense to humanity and quite possibly an offense to God Almighty. So again, this video is not meant to be a hot take. It's not meant to be controversial. I think that this take is not controversial. I think this is a very bipartisan thing to say. This is a very unifying thing to say. I think we all need to look in the mirror at ourselves and admit we all know collectively Thanksgiving food is not good. Everybody knows it. And I'm just here as a bringer of good news And I want you to know, and I think you can be thankful that there are so many other foods that you can eat on Thanksgiving Day. And I would recommend cooking any of the other foods that exist in humanity to eat on Thanksgiving Day. If you're still watching this, I love you more than I hate Thanksgiving food, which is a very big deal. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.